Late at night, a lone driver navigates a quiet road when another car suddenly collides with his. Irritated, he steps out to assess the damage, expecting a routine exchange of insurance details. Instead, the other driver, a mysterious man, remains eerily silent. The tension thickens as the victim cautiously approaches, demanding a response. Without warning, the stranger lunges, stabbing him repeatedly with brutal efficiency. The man collapses, gasping for breath, his blood pooling on the asphalt. The killer watches impassively before dragging the lifeless body off the road. He wipes his weapon clean, ensuring no evidence remains, then disappears into the darkness. Moments later, another vehicle passes by, oblivious to the crime that just unfolded. The murder appears random, yet it follows a chilling pattern, one that has gone unnoticed by authorities. Detective Young Tae-suk, a sharp but impulsive cop, is already growing suspicious of similar unsolved cases. Though the police are yet to connect the dots, Tae-suk senses that a serial killer may be on the loose. Unbeknownst to him, this latest killing will set off a chain of events involving not just law enforcement but also the city's most feared crime boss, Jang Dong-soo. The gangster, known for his brutality, will soon have his own encounter with the elusive murderer, one that will change the balance of power in the city. As the body count rises, the killer continues his spree undetected, unaware that his latest victim's fate will soon set larger forces in motion. Jang Dong-soo, a ruthless crime boss, leaves a business meeting late at night. As he drives through the dimly lit streets, another vehicle deliberately rams into his car. Annoyed but unfazed, he steps out expecting a petty criminal or rival thug. Instead, he is met with an unsettling silence as a man emerges from the other car, wielding a knife. Before Jang can react, the stranger strikes with rapid, precise slashes. The first cut barely misses, but the second finds its mark, wounding Jang's shoulder. The gangster, caught off guard, stumbles as his attacker presses forward with terrifying efficiency. Jang fights back, using his strength to resist, but the killer is relentless. He stabs Jang repeatedly, aiming to finish him off like his previous victims. However, Jang refuses to die. Summoning his brute force, he manages to push the killer away and scramble back to his car. Bleeding heavily, he speeds off, barely escaping with his life. The killer watches in frustration, his latest target slipping through his grasp. Jang drives straight to his hideout, collapsing as his men rush to assist him. Despite his wounds, he remains furious. Someone dared to attack him. Unlike the police, he doesn't need to follow rules. He vows to hunt this man down and make him pay. Meanwhile, Detective Young Tae-suk investigates the recent murders, unaware that the serial killer has now made a dangerous enemy, one who won't stop until he gets revenge. Detective Young Tae-suk, already suspicious of a serial killer operating in the city, learns about the brutal attack on Jang Dong-soo. Unlike the other victims, the gangster survived, making him the only person who has seen the killer and lived. Tae-suk realizes this could be the breakthrough he needs to catch the murderer. However, he knows Jung won't cooperate easily. Determined, Tae-suk visits Jang at his headquarters. The crime boss, still recovering from his injuries, is in no mood for pleasantries. Tae-suk, unfazed by Jang's reputation, proposes a deal: work together to catch the killer. Jang scoffs at the idea, unwilling to ally with a cop, but Tae-suk argues that they share a common enemy. The killer isn't just targeting random victims, he attacked Jang, which means he could strike again. Jang remains skeptical, but the detective presses on. If the police find the killer first, Jang won't get his revenge, but if Jang helps, he can ensure justice, his way. Intrigued, Jang considers the offer. He knows his men are already searching for the attacker, but having Tae-suk's resources might give him an edge. After a tense exchange, Jang agrees, but on his terms. He won't be following the law, and Tae-suk must accept that. The unlikely partnership is formed, but both men have their own agendas. While Tae-suk wants an arrest, Jang wants blood. Their uneasy truce sets the stage for a dangerous hunt, one that will test their limits. With their uneasy alliance in place, Detective Young Tae-suk and Jang Dong-soo begin their separate investigations. While the police comb through records of similar unsolved murders, Jang's men search the streets for any word on the mysterious attacker. Both sides are determined to find their target first. Tae-suk reviews the forensic reports from past crime scenes, noticing a disturbing pattern. Each victim was involved in minor car accidents before being murdered. This revelation suggests that the killer deliberately causes crashes to select his targets. With this crucial detail in mind, Tae-suk orders his team to analyze traffic surveillance footage from the nights of the murders. Back at the police station, Tae-suk's team locates a suspicious vehicle on CCTV, one appearing near multiple crime scenes. Cross-referencing the footage with Jang's findings, they realize they are closing in on the same man. For the first time, Tae-suk and Jang share crucial information, each realizing that their separate investigations are converging. However, time is running out, the killer is still active, and they must move quickly before he claims another victim. As Jang Dong-soo intensifies his hunt for the killer, an old enemy seizes the opportunity to strike. A rival gang, eager to challenge Jang's dominance, ambushes one of his gambling dens. Armed thugs storm the establishment, attacking Jang's men in a brutal brawl. Chaos erupts as fists, knives, and bats are used in the fight. Though Jang's crew retaliates fiercely, they suffer heavy losses. Hearing about the attack, Jang, still recovering from his injuries, arrives at the scene, enraged. Bloodied survivors report that the rival gang sees him as weak after the assassination attempt. Unwilling to let the insult go unanswered, Jang immediately mobilizes his men for retaliation. Meanwhile, Detective Young Tae-seok grows frustrated as Jang's gang war distracts from their hunt for the killer. He confronts Jang, warning him that his personal vendettas are delaying their mission. But Jang refuses to listen. For him, maintaining power is just as important as revenge. Jang leads a swift counterattack on the rival gang's hideout, turning it into a battleground. The attack is ruthless, sending a clear message: Jang is still in control. Though victorious, he remains unsatisfied. The real threat isn't rival gangs, but the elusive killer who dared to challenge him. After settling the conflict, Jung refocuses on their deal. He informs Tae-seok that his men are tracking down the car linked to the killer. Despite their differences, both men know they must act fast before their target disappears again. In the aftermath of the gang conflict, Jung Dong-soo attends the funeral of one of his fallen men. The atmosphere is heavy with grief and tension as his loyalists gather to pay respects. Though Jung appears composed, his anger simmers beneath the surface. He knows his enemies are watching, waiting for another chance to strike. Unbeknownst to him, the serial killer has also been keeping an eye on him. Having failed to eliminate Jang the first time, the killer sees an opportunity to finish the job. Blending into the crowd, he observes the scene, waiting for the right moment. As the mourners step outside, a sudden attack disrupts the ceremony. Armed men, likely hired by Jang's rivals, open fire, aiming to wipe out Jang and his remaining crew. Chaos erupts as people scramble for cover. Jang's men retaliate, exchanging gunfire while shielding their boss. Amid the confusion, the killer silently moves through the mayhem, trying to get close to Jang. However, Jang's survival instincts kick in. Spotting the figure moving toward him, he recognizes the same unsettling presence from the night he was attacked. He barely dodges the killer's knife as it slashes toward him. Before the killer can strike again, gunfire forces him to retreat into the chaos. Though Jang survives, he now knows the killer is still after him. This failed ambush only strengthens his resolve. He will find the murderer first, no matter what it takes. Following the funeral ambush, Jang Dong-soo and Detective Jung Tae-seok intensify their efforts to track down the killer. Their investigations finally pay off when Jang's men locate the suspect's car based on the partial license plate. Tae-seok, determined to make an arrest, mobilizes his team. However, Jang, unwilling to let the police take all the credit, joins the chase with his own men. The suspect, sensing he's being watched, suddenly speeds off, triggering a high-speed pursuit through the crowded streets. Tae-seok and Jang, each in separate vehicles, race after him. The killer skillfully weaves through traffic, nearly causing accidents as he tries to shake them. Tae-seok remains focused, instructing his team to block possible escape routes, but the suspect proves elusive. Jang, driven by personal vengeance, takes a more reckless approach. He orders his driver to ram the suspect's car, causing it to spin out momentarily before regaining control. Frustrated, Jang curses as the chase continues. The killer, realizing he won't outrun them forever, makes a daring move. He speeds toward a highway exit, forcing oncoming traffic to swerve. As Tae-seok and Jang close in, the killer sideswipes a civilian vehicle, creating a pileup that blocks the road. By the time they reach the wreckage, the suspect has abandoned his car and disappeared into the night. Tae-seok fumes at the missed opportunity, while Jang tightens his grip on his wounded arm, vowing that next time, the killer won't escape. Following the failed pursuit, Jang Dong-soo returns to his headquarters, seething with frustration. His men inform him that despite their efforts, the killer remains elusive. As he processes this setback, a devastating call changes everything. One of his most trusted lieutenants has been found murdered. Jang rushes to the crime scene, where his associate's lifeless body lies in an alley, brutalized in the same manner as the killer's previous victims. The sight shakes even the hardened gangster. He clenches his fists, barely restraining his rage. The message is clear. The killer isn't just running, he's retaliating. Meanwhile, Detective Jung Tae-seok, upon hearing of the murder, arrives at the scene. He watches as Jang stands over his fallen comrade, his usual arrogance replaced by cold fury. Tae-seok warns him against acting recklessly, but Jang, overwhelmed with grief, ignores him. Back at his hideout, Jang gathers his men, vowing vengeance. He no longer cares about cooperating with the police. This is now personal. However, his men warn him that going after the killer blindly is dangerous. The serial murderer operates unpredictably, striking when least expected. Tae-seok, recognizing Jang's unstable state, intensifies the investigation, fearing the gangster might ruin their only chance to capture the suspect. With both men driven by their own motivations, the line between law and vengeance blurs. The killer, however, remains in control, one step ahead, watching and waiting for his next move. With the killer still on the loose, both Jang Dong-soo and Detective Jung Tae-seok intensify their hunt. Jang's men finally track down the suspect's hideout, tipping him off before the police can intervene. Ignoring Tae-sok's warnings, Jang heads there first, determined to finish things his way. Inside the dimly lit hideout, the killer, Kang Kung-ho, waits, seemingly unfazed. Jang storms in, fists clenched, ready for revenge. The two engage in a brutal hand-to-hand fight. Kang, eerily calm, dodges Jang's initial attacks, slashing at him with a hidden knife. Despite his injuries, Jang overpowers him, landing crushing blows. Just as he's about to kill Kang, police sirens blare outside. Tae-suk has arrived. The detective bursts in, gun drawn, ordering Jang to stand down. Breathing heavily, Jang hesitates, torn between vengeance and logic. Kang, seizing the moment, lunges at Tae-suk, forcing the detective to fire. The bullet hits Kang, bringing him to the ground. Tae-suk secures the arrest, ensuring the killer faces justice. Jang, bloodied but undefeated, watches as the police take Kang away. Though denied the chance to kill him, he takes solace in knowing the murderer won't escape again. As Tae-suk and Jang exchange a final glance, an unspoken understanding forms between them. This unlikely alliance has finally ended. With Kang's arrest, the city breathes a little easier, but both men know that in their world, another storm is always on the horizon. Following his arrest, Kang Kyung-ho is placed in a high-security prison, awaiting trial. Detective Jung Tae-sok ensures that the case is airtight, determined to see justice served. Meanwhile, Jung Dong-soo, though denied his revenge, remains unsatisfied. As Kang is locked away in solitary confinement, he finally shows a flicker of emotion, anger. Even in prison, he is being hunted. Though his reign of terror is over, the gangster's reach is long, ensuring his final days will be spent in constant fear, just as his victims once were. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more. Catch you in the next one.